Wisp Sports Radio, the voice of women in sport.
Welcome to Season 1, Episode 19 of the WeCOACH Podcast on Wisp Sports. Every 2 weeks, we sit down with some of the best and brightest women coaches, leaders, and industry experts in the world of sports for fun and inspiring conversations. I'm your host, Megan Kahn, Executive Director of WeCOACH. This podcast is a co-production of WeCOACH and Wisp Sports. WeCOACH has become the premier nonprofit organization committed to recruiting, retaining, and advancing women coaches of all sports and levels. Through our programming, events, and engaged community, we are empowering female coaches and inspiring the next generation of young women who dream of following in their footsteps. Today's guest is one of the best administrators I know. Charmelle Green is the current Senior Associate AD for Student Athlete Performance and Health and Welfare at Penn State and serves as the Senior Women Administrator. As an All-American softball player turned coach turned administrator, there isn't anyone in the industry who oozes more passion for growing student athletes and coaches than Charmelle. Charmelle, welcome to the WeCOACH Podcast.
Hi, Megan. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, I am so thrilled. I know I have the privilege of working with you day in and day out, almost, through our work on the WeCOACH board, and I'm excited for our listeners to get to know you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm thrilled to be here. And of course, it's always a joy to work with you and all the other board members and staff members of WeCOACH.
We're going to get to the board in our work in just a little bit, but I want to start. Take us back to your childhood and your love of sports.
Yeah. So, I grew up, I'm the youngest of 6, Megan, and I grew up in a family of sports enthusiasts. We oozed and really enjoyed playing sports every single day, whether it be dodgeball out in the middle of the street or playing organized sports such as baseball, football, basketball, and all the track and field and all the other sports that were offered in my hometown of San Diego, California. My mother played football, tackle football in a women's league. My father coached football. My brothers played baseball and football, and my sisters and my brothers, we all ran track and field at a very young age.
So you grew up in San Diego. Tell us how you ended up at Utah playing softball. Yeah.
So, gosh, Megan, I was fortunate to, play in the travel ball league and play throughout the state of California and showcase my talents and skills. And Utah was one of the institutions that I was drawn to. One, it wasn't too far away from home, but it was far enough away from home to where I couldn't, my parents couldn't come to see me every weekend, nor could I go home every weekend. I could really embrace the college experience and dig into what Utah had to offer. Also from a softball standpoint, Utah was a program that I felt that I could make a significant impact. And I wanted to help that program go to the next level. Utah was known for recruiting talent out of the Southern California area. And I was just one of those student athletes that they sought out. And I was fortunate to attend the University of Utah on a full ride scholarship and get an undergraduate degree in communications with the emphasis in public relations.
I can only imagine your recruiting visit because, let's be honest, Salt Lake is not necessarily a diverse population. Yeah.
Certainly my eyes were wide open. And, I tell this story all the time because it's a profound story of when I visited Utah. I wasn't necessarily looking for all those things that became rather important to my experience and as a young woman. And so I went to Utah on a campus visit, and I really just spent a lot of time with the other members of the team, with the athletes, and got a good sense and feel for the program and was really intrigued by it. There were a couple of members of the team that were from San Diego, so I thought that I would really connect well early on. I wasn't looking for all the other pieces that I learned as a young woman are essential to my development, my confidence, and the support that I needed to really thrive. But it was when my father drove me to campus to drop me off at school that it became a realization that I was attending a university that lacked in diversity, and that it would be an interesting experience. I call it interesting because I loved my experience at the U. However, I had to learn and grow to be confident and comfortable in a setting where diversity just wasn't prevalent. But my father, when he dropped me off, he noticed rather quickly that there wasn't anyone walking around campus or moving into the dorms that looked like me. And I remember the look on his face when he turned to me. He said, you don't have to do this. We can turn around and go home right now. And I was taken aback by his comment, but I saw the fear in his eyes of dropping me off at a place that looked so different than where I grew up and so different than what he was used to. But I said to my dad, I said, look, I made a commitment. I am excited about the opportunity to represent the University of Utah. And so I'm going to honor my promise and remain at the university. So he turned around and dropped me off and went home, and all things worked out better than what I could ever imagine.
What a powerful story. I just got chills listening to you talk about that.
Yeah, I never forget it. And I share it openly because I think it's really important for young people who are, looking at institutions and they see things that are different than where they grew up. It's important for them to know that they can thrive in environments that are different than what they know. And that with support and with, teammates that love you, with being in a family environment, you can thrive in spite of the difference or the lack thereof.
You talked about look like me, and I want to run with that here for a second because it sounds like you probably had a very strong female role model in your mother, but you also played for a very strong female role model in Jo Evans. And from a gender perspective, look like me. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think that's so important. I am a firm believer in that people can thrive in any environment if they are supported, if they are allowed to be authentically themselves, and that was why I was able to flourish and have a tremendous experience at the University of Utah. I had amazing friends, but I had an unbelievable coach in Jo Evans who taught me and allowed me to be me, who taught me to work hard, to thrive, strive for excellence, and really work to be great. And she gave me the platform and the ability to do that, and she supported it. And out of that, I just became much more confident in who I was, and my ability to make an impact in the program and on the university.
Had you played for a female coach before you got to the U?
I did. In high school, I played for a wonderful coach. Her name was Carol Oftedal, who spent a lot of time giving back to the community and coaching many, many years with limited resources, oftentimes putting her own resources into the program so that we could have a great experience. Carol was unbelievable, was an unbelievable support and mentor of mine early on as a youngster. Of course, my mother, who was an avid supporter of academic and athletic excellence, who really pushed me to excel in the classroom as well as excel on the field, and told me I can do and be anything that I wanted to be. And then to go to the University of Utah, I was recruited by Norma Carr, who was a legend in coaching, and had the all the confidence in my ability to contribute and make an impact. Norma retired after my sophomore year, and that's when Jo Evans came in as the head coach. And Jo and I just connected so well. She was she took the time to get to know me. She really was nurturing and caring and supportive, and created that environment where I just felt that I was at home, where I could go out and work hard and make mistakes, and be okay with making those mistakes. She really helped, me develop that type of confidence that I needed to go out into the real world and do well.
Well, and it's so fun now for me to sit and watch this connection come 360 with Joe Evans now on our board of directors.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, when you think about Joe has known me for 31 years, and to see our relationship evolve from a mentor, a coach, mentor, confidant, into a dear friend who has, along the way, in every step of my career, she has played a significant role in the decisions that I've made, as well as just the inspiration that she's provided for me to go out and excel. If every student athlete can have that experience, man, we would have some amazing, exciting, and inspirational women just going out and telling their stories.
If every coach was like Joe Evans, we probably actually wouldn't have a job, right?
Exactly. You're exactly right. I mean, Joe, it's just, I'm so grateful to have had that opportunity to play under Joe, and then also be mentored and guided throughout the years, because she has never changed. She's never wavered in who she is as a person, who she is as a coach. And so you get this steady person who is caring, loving, authentic, genuine, all those things when you think about who you want to be as a woman, as a mentor, as a mother, wife, whatever, those are the things that I always work towards every day, of being the best that I can be. And Joe just is a model for that.
Well, and certainly you thrived under her. I think you garnered WAC Player of the Year honors your senior year. Yeah,
yes, I was, able to get some awards, but Megan, for me, it was never about the awards, the individual accolades, because I loved my team so much. It was about my team. I wanted everybody to thrive and have the experience that I was having, because those years were some of the best years of my entire life. And although they weren't without adversity or challenges, the support, the guidance, the fun, I had so much fun. My teammates, my coaches, it's just, it was just an amazing opportunity. And I just want to pay it forward now, because I want everybody to have that type of experience. And I say to recruits when I meet with them is, this isn't going to be easy, and it's not intended to be easy, but it can be great. And so that's what I try to impart on current student athletes now is, this can be great. And dig in, have fun, get to know your teammates, get to know your coaches, work to being the best that you can be. And more than likely, this experience is going to be one that you'll remember for the rest of your life. Absolutely. But when you finished your playing career, you did not immediately jump into coaching. You had a couple years in between, and then what really drew you back into coaching at Notre Dame? Yeah, so that's a great question. Actually, I had some stops before Notre Dame coaching, but I went over to New Zealand. I had I was fortunate to be able to play the sport that I love in another country, and get to know about the culture and the people of New Zealand. And that was an experience that I would, that will be near and dear to my heart for the rest of my life. And I went out into the corporate world, and I thought that I wanted to do some work in diversity, equity, and inclusion throughout the state of Utah. A large part because of the experience that I had in walking into an environment that was very different than what I grew up in, and trying to navigate, how do I thrive and excel in this environment? And so I wanted to go out into high schools, into businesses, I worked with the National Conference for Community Justice and conducted diversity work throughout the state. But then, that itch to get in, to want to coach the sport, I felt like I ended my career far too soon. And so I wanted to get into coaching and really help young people who had goals of becoming All-Americans, being national champions. I wanted to contribute to that process. So I had the opportunity to volunteer under Joe Evans at the University of Utah. And then I went on and I coached at Colorado State, Syracuse University, and then landed as an assistant at Notre Dame prior to ending my career and moving into athletics administration.
Well, at Notre Dame, let's not just brush over that because you were very successful. I think it was 4 NCAA tournaments and 4 Big East titles.
Yeah, Deanna Gumpf is a tremendous head coach, and I was fortunate to be able to coach under her leadership and be a member of her coaching staff. And Notre Dame is a special place and will always be a special place where we felt that we could go out and get top talent, both academically, athletically, and provide an experience where our students could win at the highest level. And we certainly had a few conference championships under our belt, and of course some postseason play that was really a fun experience, fun opportunity for me as a coach.
Love Deanna. She's a gem. So I want to know, though, what did you love most about coaching?
It's just the nurturing piece, the competitiveness, helping young women feel comfortable about going out and competing at the highest level and leaving it all out there on the field, giving it their all. And, coaching and playing at the high levels, allows for the opportunity the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. And, helping the young women navigate and work through those lows, get themselves back and ready and prepared to compete again, and then seeing the success that comes from the preparation that happens in between those two things of losing and winning. And also sharing my experience and allowing them to share their experiences and seeing the commonalities and all those things come together and seeing the success that comes from that. To me, I actually use some of those same techniques in administration. I believe that I'm coaching every single day. I'm just coaching in a different environment, in a different way. It's not directly on the field, but I think the coaching techniques work, and I utilize them every step. Even as a wife, I use my coaching skills to have a healthy home and a healthy lifestyle.
So you've seen both sides of the lens. You've already alluded to the fact that you've gone into administration when you left coaching. What do you know now that you wish you would have known then as a coach that would have served you well?
Patience. Yeah, that's such a great question, Megan. And I really think that had I reversed my careers and went into administration first, then gone into coaching, I think I would have been a much more patient coach. I would have understood better. I would have had a better sense of the challenges that people face that impact their ability to give it their all day in and day out. And I would have allowed for room for that to be okay. That our students are dealing with complex issues and they are wrestling with those issues and trying to figure out how to be okay. And to work through those issues. And I would have allowed for a greater opportunity to sit within that space and allow them to work through those issues and nurture them through that. I think I was, less patient. I thought there was a sense of urgency to win and win now, where I know now that it's a journey and there's a process and that needs to occur in order for that success to happen. So that would be my takeaway from that transition.
That's a great takeaway because I would have to guess most coaches do operate with a lens of sense of urgency.
Yeah, and they see what's happening around them. These careers are getting shorter and shorter. They see that there's not that patience that's happening in the world of college sports, and so there's this anxiousness that comes with it of needing to feel like you got to be successful, immediately, and I think that success happens when you allow your students to develop and be nurtured and supported in who they are, where they are at that point in time. I always say now to my coaches, we got to meet them where they're at and bring them along. We can't assume that they're going to be where we want them to be just because we've recruited them to our great institutions and just because they have the talents to be superstars in their sport. There's so many factors that go into play that either helps that development happens in a more speedy manner, or that can hinder their ability to grow. So we have to nurture that, and we have to really give them the opportunity to grow in that space.
I can only imagine you were a phenomenal coach. You were probably a player's coach, just knowing who you are. What made you decide then to take that leap into administration?
Megan, I just want to make a difference. And I felt that as a coach, I can impact and affect the lives of the 19 to 23 student athletes that represent and make up a softball program. But I wanted to do more. And I still want to do more. I want to impact college athletics. I want to help, create policy and processes. And I want to help lead coaches and administrators in the effort to support and guide young people. And so I just felt that the administrative route gave me a greater platform to be able to make a much significant and greater impact on more student athletes, not just the few that represent the program that I was coaching.
And I know a little bit about this, and I want you to share with our listeners, because I think not that we want to see female coaches leaving the coaching profession, but we are often asked, how do you make that leap into administration? Can you give a little bit of advice or share your personal story and how you made that transition?
Yes. So I would say, for me, you got to know what it is that you want to do, because from day one, when I made the decision to leave coaching, which was a big decision for me, I loved coaching. But I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I knew exactly what area that I wanted to go into in administration, the student athlete welfare and development side of the business, because I wanted to make a significant difference in the lives of our students. So if you know what you're doing, then that's going to make it a much easier transition for anyone that's leaving coaching, going into administration. It wasn't forced for me. I knew that was the path that I needed to take to make the impact that I wanted to make. And so, although I loved coaching, and although I miss even today, I miss being on the field, I miss hitting ground balls, I miss that teaching piece of it, I know that I have an opportunity to make a significant impact in administration. So I would say it's got to be something that's not forced, but it's got to be intentional and something that that our coaches really want to do. They got to have goals. They got to have aspirations. They got to be able to articulate what it is that they want to do in administration that is driving them to make that transition from coaching into administration. I would also say that once you get there, once you know what it is that you want to do, you got to let the world know. You got to let your mentors know. You got to let your administration know. You got to let your coaching staff know. You got to let your best friends and your family know, because they are your biggest advocates, and they are the ones that can certainly help get your foot in the door should opportunities come about. So again, I would say it's got to be what you want to do. It can't be forced. You can't be running from something thinking that you're gaining something but you don't know what it is. You got to be running to something. And you got to be very clear about what it is that you're running to, and then let your closest friends, family, mentors know what it is that you want to achieve.
You just said let the world know. I want to talk about the power of network, because at Notre Dame, you're surrounded by an amazing cast of senior level administrators. So for our listeners, close that gap for them and how you go from Notre Dame and then working with Sandy at Penn State.
Yeah. I mean, that's the power of networking, Megan. It's so important. But when I think about networking, I think about more so about relationship building. Oftentimes, people will use networking as a transaction. You know, I'm going to give you my business card, you give me your business card, and hopefully we connect at some point in time. But for me, networking is building authentic, genuine relationships with people who have seen the things that you want to see, doing the things that you want to do, and going to places you want to go. I want to know about their lives. I want to know about their experiences. I want to know how they got to where they are. And I want to develop a long-lasting relationship with them. And that's what happened at Notre Dame. I was fortunate to be mentored by some of the greatest in the business, Sandy Barber being one of them, who served as the deputy director of athletics at Notre Dame under Kevin White, who's now the director of athletics at Duke. Bernard Muir, who's the director of athletics at Stanford. Stan Wilcox, who was the director of athletics at Florida State, now serving in a leadership capacity at the NCAA. And it just keeps going on. Jim Phillips, who is the director at Northwestern, Blue Corrigan, who just accepted the director position at North Carolina State, who was recently serving as the director at Army. So these were the people who were present at Notre Dame when I was coaching and then making the decision to go into administration. And when I decided that administration was the route that I wanted to take, I immediately, the first two people that I told was Dr. Kevin White and Sandy Barber. And from there, it just took off. They mentored me, they guided me, they provided me opportunities to go to some professional development opportunities to really get a sense of the administration path and be in the presence of other administrators. And I was still an assistant coach, but they opened the doors for me to gain some experiences, some important experiences. And then 2 years later, I was making that transition. So I let them know, and it took some time. And then I was given the opportunity to move into administration at Notre Dame.
I'm just closing the gap here. I'm curious, how many played for a female college coach, worked for a female college coach, now work for a female AD in a Power 5 conference? I bet there's probably not too many.
Well, gosh, Megan, I didn't even think about it. So, I would say that there aren't many out there. And boy, am I privileged and honored. And when I think about that, I think about how amazing it's been. This ride has been fun. A huge shout out to, Sandy Barber, Joe Evans, Norma Cars, all the people that have played such a significant role in my development. And gosh, I just, every day I think about how can I give back? How can I give back to, to the world of sport, college athletics, and be the mentor that they certainly have been in my life and in the years that I've known them.
Well, and certainly on Penn State's campus, you're giving back. Let me just rattle this off for our listeners. You oversee women's volleyball, men's, women's, cross country and track and field, softball, ability athletics, medical services, athletic training, strength and conditioning, sports nutrition and sports psychology, and the student athlete life skills program. How in the world do you get all this done?
I have a great team, and gosh, what an opportunity, huh? I mean, a tremendous opportunity. And I'm grateful that Sandy trusts in my ability to be able to oversee all these areas that impact the student athlete's experience every single day. Here at Penn State, we talk about preparing our student athletes for a lifetime of impact. Well, their health and well-being, it starts there. And I'm fortunate to have an amazing team that that is every bit as passionate and caring and nurturing as I am about the student athlete experience and providing optimal care so that they can go out on the fields of play and go into the classroom and thrive and be at their best. So I come to work excited to do the work that I do and be in charge of the areas that I have oversight of because of the enormous responsibility that it requires and the caring and nurturing that it allows me to provide.
With that many things on your plate, how do you prioritize your day? How do you structure your day? How are you keeping all of these balls in the air?
Yeah, so I make sure that I'm organized. I make sure that I meet with my team on a regular basis so that I'm up to speed with what's going on in their areas and if there are any challenges that we need to tackle on the day. But I keep the people in mind every single day. It's about my team. It's about our student athletes. It's about the people. And are we doing our best to provide the very best experience for our student athletes? And so that's how I prioritize the needs, my time. I'm very intentional about that. So I make sure that my leadership team is they have everything that they need from me to excel and to do what they need to do to provide that great experience for our student athletes.
Everyone wants to know what great leaders do in the morning. Do you have a morning routine?
Yes, I do. I certainly, I listen to music. I love listening to music. I make sure that I spend time with family. I take my dogs for a walk. And if I'm lucky, I get in some form of, exercise that's beyond 30 minutes so that I can get that sweat going. And then, I set off to tackle the day.
Well, and you just alluded to it there. I'm glad to hear that you take time for you in the morning. With the number of things on your plate, we know the vicious cycle of especially Power 5 athletics. How do you prioritize work-life balance?
It's being intentional. And I know I've mentioned that before. And I talk to our coaches at our academies about intentional living. I think when we're intentional, we're able to better prioritize our time and really put those things that matter most, that are most important to the top of our list. And so I, in my preparation for each day, I make sure that I'm intentional about how I carve out that time. And, whether it be spending time with family, whether it be prioritizing what I need to focus on at work, those things, and then also spending time with myself to process and reflect on and to make sure that I'm achieving the goals that I've set out to achieve. Those things are so important. And when there's lots of pressure coming at you in so many ways, it's so important that we're even more so intentional about the priorities, because everybody has a sense of urgency and a need that is urgent, that is needs attention in a speedy manner. So I just try to make sure that I prioritize and that I communicate when I'm not able to get to something as quickly as one would want me to get to it, that I communicate my inability to get to it as quickly as they want, but that certainly I would get it done and I will make sure that it's done well. So being intentional, Megan, is I can't express how important that is in everything that we do. It just allows us to really make those lists and prioritize and focus on those things that matter most.
You've already mentioned the word intentional several times, and that's probably one of my very favorite talks that I've heard you give is on intentional living. Can you give us a sneak peek on that?
Yeah. So I talk about coaches, and probably I present on this because it's a reminder for me. And so not only am I always growing and learning to be intentional in my life, I present to the coaches about being intentional in their life and in their work, and really setting out to, develop their mission and their vision for their life and for their professional careers, and setting goals, and living up to your values, and I think that it's carving out time to really understand what all of those pieces look like. When you talk about mission, vision, values, all those things that you see within organizations, it's no different than setting up what you want your life to look like. And that's what I talk about the coaches, is being intentional in your living, in your home life, in your work, in your own personal growth. Is so important, but it takes time. You got to intentionally carve out the time to set that up, and then hold yourself accountable to living up to that. And anyone who is interested in hearing that presentation, come to an academy if you haven't done, and hopefully, Megan, you'll have me again, and because I love that presentation, and I love the questions that come out of that presentation.
I'm over here pumping my fist that I didn't even know you were going to give that plug. I love that plug.
It's intentional. I have it written down.
Let's talk about your work on the WeCOACH board. So you were just recently named the president-elect. So in January, you'll become only the second president of, first of all, the Alliance, and now certainly WeCOACH. What is it about our mission that calls you?
Gosh, Megan, we talk about recruiting, retaining, inspiring young women in the business. And I can't think of anything more inspiring than the mission of WeCOACH, which is why, this organization, the organization is so near and dear to my heart, and why I've grown to just love and want to, make as big of an impact that I possibly can. And of course, the members that represent our board are so amazing. It's truly an honor to lead and be a part of this group. But it's that ability to inspire young women, inspire those that have been in the business for quite some time, but maybe toying with whether or not they want to continue in the business or move on to other things. It's an opportunity to make a significant impact. And, it's been such an honor and a joy to represent WeCOACH. And I'm looking forward to being the next president of WeCOACH. And Cecile Renaud, who is our current president, is such a true inspiration. And her experience and leadership has been profound on my life. She's made a profound impact on my life, and certainly the other board members. And of course, Megan, working with you is such a joy. Your energy and passion is infectious. It is truly unbelievable. And it's an honor to be a part of the team.
Well, thanks for your kind words. I'd say ditto right back at you.
Thank you.
What words of advice do you have for female coaches out there? If you could just randomly and generically give some words of advice to all the women to be better.
Just be honest, be yourselves, be authentic, genuine, and seek advice and guidance and help when you need it. Get out of your silos. Working in silos is never healthy. It's never, sustaining in terms of success and the ability to grow a program and build a program. Open the doors, let people in, learn, grow, and be yourself.
Thanks for that. So, we end every episode with rapid fire and put you on the hot seat here.
Yes, I'm really excited about this.
If you could use one word to describe yourself, what would you say?
Passionate.
What keeps you awake at night?
Student athletes and their care, and of course the risk of having young people on college campus and trying to navigate and learn how to keep themselves safe and keep themselves motivated and driven to excel at the highest level.
I would imagine that probably keeps a lot of administrators up at night, given today's day and age.
Yes.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
I Will Survive.
That's a good one for you. I know you've traveled the world. What's the favorite place you visited?
Cinque Terre, Italy, and I'm actually leaving there in a week, and leaving for vacation in a week. And Cinque Terre is one of the stops.
Oh my gosh, that sounds. Can I go in your suitcase?
Yes, love to have you.
Last one for you. What's the thing you love most about Happy Valley?
The quietness and the ability to have lunch with my husband whenever I can, because there's little traffic and it's easy to navigate.
Charmelle, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, not only for the work you do for us, I think just in general, the work you do to enhance the lives of all women in sports.
Thank you, Megan. Truly an honor.
Conversations from the world of women's sports. This is Wisp Sports Radio.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. We want to hear from you, our listeners. Share your comments on Twitter at WeCOACH and at Wisp Sports, or on Facebook at WeCOACH Sports and at Wisp Sports. The show notes for this episode can be found on our show page at wispsports.com. Make sure to subscribe to Wisp Sports on your podcast app to catch each new episode of the WeCOACH podcast every other Thursday. Until next time, all sports, one voice, WeCOACH.